Hey guys, welcome to the Top Percentile. My name is Anay Dave. Let's go to 99.86 percentile in CET 2020. If you've been following us on Instagram, you know that we've been making a series called How to Score a 99.9 percentile in CAT QUANTS in the easiest and fastest way as possible. If you haven't, please check out our Instagram. It's in the description. It'll be a very quick overview of how to solve all the questions that are easy in CAT so that you get a 99.9 percentile in CAT Slot 1 2023. Now today, what I'm doing is I'm going to take all those questions in one video and solve them one after the other in the fastest way as possible. Obviously, I'll be showing you on the screen, so I'll write down a little bit of information. But trust me, these can be done without paper and pen as well. So let's directly get started without any further ado. I'll share my screen. We should be good to go. So as you can see, based on the M.M.S cutoff that they have predicted for slot 1, to get a 99 percentile, all you needed in quants was 27 marks. 27 marks translates to 9 questions. All you have to do is solve 9 questions and you are at 99 percentile already. Just 9 correct questions. For a 99.5 percentile, you need 30 questions. That's 30 marks or 10 questions. And for 99.9 percentile, you need 40, which is 13 or 14 questions, right? So our aim today is to solve at least 9 questions so that we are in the 99 percentile range. And then whatever you can solve extra is on you based on your skill, right? So I'll show you the easiest ways to solve at least 9 of these questions. So let's get started. So when you take the paper, what I want you to do is do a very quick look through of all questions that are there in the exam and then take the easiest questions. If you did that and if you're able to accurately recognize which question is difficult and easy, the first question you probably start with is question number 9, and that is from the Clocks and Calendars chapter. The question asks, the minor angle between the hour hand and the minute hand of a clock was observed at 8:48 a.m. The minimum duration in minutes after 8:48, when this angle increased by 50% is, and there are 4 options that we need to select. So it's a +3, -1 kind of question in CAT. And obviously the first thing that we'll do is find what that angle was. What was the angle at 8:48? So how do you do that? The first thing that we'll do is figure out where the hand is at, let's say 48, right? So when 48 minutes are passed, we simply do 48 upon 60 into 360, right? Cancel that by 6. 6 into 4, 48 into 6. Essentially, what you can do here is either you do 6 into 4, that's 24, plus 6 into 8, 48, so that's 288. So adding the 2, you get 288. Or what you can also do is do 50 into 6, which is 300, minus 50 into 2, 6 into 2, which is 12, and you get 288, right? So these kind of things are very important to know as soon as you can in CAT, right? The second thing to do is find out what the hour hand would be at. We found out the minute hand is at 288 degrees. Where is the minute hand? Now, for the hour hand, you would simply write 8:48 as 8.8 as 48 minutes in an hour conversion would be 8.8 as it's 48 upon 60 upon 12 into 360, and we again do the calculation. So you get 88 into 3, which again would be 24, 240 plus 24, which is 264. Right? See, this kind of math has to be done very fast. I have not prepared before this. I'm just solving it as fast as I can. The difference between these two is easy, 24, right? Now the question asks us how many minutes should pass for this angle to increase by 50%. So increase by 50% would mean that the angle has increased by 12 degrees, right? From 24, it is on to 36, or the difference is 12 degrees. Now the important funda to note here is that the relative speed between the hour and the minute hand is 5.5 degrees per minute, which means that the minute hand moves 5.5 degrees faster than the hour hand per minute. And the derivation here is pretty simple. What we need to do is we need to find out per minute how much the hour hand moves. Now, in 1 hour, 360 degrees is covered, and it takes 60 minutes to do it. So the minute hand is doing 6 degrees per minute. That's 6 degrees per minute. And in the case of the hour hand, we are covering the same 360 degrees in how many minutes? 12 into 60, which again gives us 6 here, and that's 1 by 2. So that's 0.5 degrees per minute. So the relative speed between these two will be 5.5 degrees per minute, correct? So if it moves 5.5 degrees every minute, how much time would it take to cover 12 degrees? So that's very easy again. You simply do 12 upon 5.5, which is nothing but 24 by 11. And that's option B. You mark that and you go ahead. That's +3 marks in the bag. Again, because I'm explaining this to you, it has taken a lot longer than it should, but that's 3 marks in the bag, and we go on to the next question. The second question that I think was pretty easy again, but because it is logarithm, it is something that I would usually keep for later. But since all the options are in integers, I realized that this would be one of the easier questions to solve. So this question is it's quite straightforward once you get into it, and you need to know basic logarithms for it. So the question states, if x and y are positive real numbers such that log x squared to plus 12 to the base x is equal to 4, and 3 log x to the base y is 1, and what is x plus y? We simply write the two equations in the easiest, in the most straightforward way possible. So we just write log x squared plus 12 is equal to 4 to the base x, and on the other side we'll just write the question again, log x to the base y is equal to 1. Now as we know the properties of log, if for example, one thing that I always like doing is log 8 to the base 2 is 3, because 2 raised to 3 is 8, right? Using the same thing, if we had to write it on this side, you'd get x raised to 4 is equal to x squared plus 12. The second bit that is really important, the second formula that is really important to know is that log 8 to the base 2 can be written as log 2 raised to 3 to the base 2, which can also be written as 3 log 2 to the base 2. And this value, as we know, is 1. So 3 is equal to 3. So that formula would be correct. In this case, you would basically write log x cubed to the base y is equal to 1. So x cubed is equal to y, right? So now the question is asking us what is x plus y, and x plus y can also be written as x plus x cubed, correct? So we are trying to find that value. Now, if we see this equation, x raised to 4 is equal to x squared plus 12, and all the options are integers, which means that x plus x cubed is an integer, which means that it's very likely, and it's positive, so it's very likely that x will have an integer value. We start taking values. Let's say it's 0. If you put this as 0 and start testing this equation, whether it's equal or not. So if you put it as 0, we get 0 raised to 4 is 0 plus 12, does not satisfy it. If you take it as 1, we get 1 raised to 4 is equal to 1. So that's 1 is equal to 1 plus 12, not satisfying. So that's also out. If you take it as 2, we get 2 raised to 4, which is 16, is equal to x raised to 4, x raised to 2, which is 4 plus 12. That satisfies it. So our answer for x is 2. Now we put that in the value here. We get 2 plus 2 raised to 3, which is 8. We mark. So that's option D, 10. That's plus 3 more marks in the bag. Again, it should not have taken that long. I'm just showing you each and every method. If you know the formulas here, it's very quick to solve it. We move ahead as soon as we can, right? The next question that we have here is something that requires a bit more of just quick math rather than anything difficult. The question is pretty long, so I'll let you read it. The sense is that Drishti started off on an 8-hour trip at a palindromic time, which means it reads the same from left and right. Let's say that's 101. And also, when she ends the trip after 8 hours, it is also the same amount of time, right? So they told us that the maximum speed that she traveled at is 110, which means that there can't be anything more. Now, the easiest way to do this is to just use options. We'll start with, let's say the distance that they're given, which is 26862. And now I'll start assuming she went at 90 kilometers per hour. So that means in 8 hours, she traveled 720 kilometers. If I subtract 720 from this, I get 24162. This is not a palindrome, so this is not the answer that I'll go for. For the next option, she's traveled 100 kilometers per hour for 8 hours, so that's 800 kilometers. I'll again write 26862, and this can be done mentally again. I have shown you in the video on Instagram how to do it, and you get 2062, and that is a palindrome. So she starts in a palindrome, and the end of the trip, it is also a palindrome. That's the only answer that should satisfy. We mark option B. That's plus 3 again, and you are on to the next question. 3 very easy questions so far. It should not have taken you more than 3 minutes. That's 9 marks in the bag, right? So this question, I would suggest using a calculator to do it, because I think I would explain again on Instagram why that is the best way to go about it. Sometimes using the calculator really helps. This question, it really does. It's a formula that they've given where you start off with, let's say, so you start off with 2 organisms on day 1. So you write something like day 1 and what happens next. On the second day, it is equal to 3 more than twice the number. So it's 2 into 2 plus 3, which is 4 plus 3 or 7. On day 3, we will have 2 into 7 plus 3, which is 14 plus 3 or 17. Right? And now what I want you to do is to keep using the calculator and just multiplying 17 into 2 plus 3 into 2 plus 3 into 2 plus 3 and start writing down exactly which day it is falling on. You keep doing that, and you need to figure out at what day it exceeds 1 million, right? That value of n, which is the lowest possible value, obviously, when the first time it crosses 1 million will be your answer. Answer will come out to be 19 days, and that is your answer. That's plus 3 again. And this is the theta question, but you just need to use the calculator to do it. CAT gives you a calculator on screen. It is not very fast, but for this question, it won't take you more than a minute to solve, because all you're doing is into 2 plus 3 into 2 plus 3 and writing down which step you are on. If you do it methodically, you should get 3 marks without any question. Now, again, you reach 12 marks, probably 4 minutes, maybe 5 minutes, but 12 marks are done already, right? This question is again super easy if you are very methodical about it. It just asks you the number of all natural numbers up to 1000 with non-repeating digits. So best way to do this is split up 1-digit numbers, 2-digit numbers, and 3-digit numbers, and write down how many numbers fit into each category. It's a simple permutation combination question. Obviously, it's natural numbers. We start from 1 to 1000, right? So if you look at the single-digit numbers, there are only 9 numbers that are already satisfied. So that's straight 9. We'll add 9 to the final answer. For 2-digit numbers, the first number has to be non-zero. So there are 9 digits again that can fit into it. And the second digit, the ones digit, will be anything, including 0, apart from the digit that you've used earlier. So instead of 10, that'll again be 9. So we simply have 81 numbers as how many two-digit numbers would fit into it. Similar logic for this. There'll be a non-zero hundreds digit number. So that's 9 digits that are possible. 1 less than that, but including 0. So that's 9 again. And then again, you'll have 1 less than what has been used earlier. So that's 8. That's 9 into 9 into 8, which again, if you can do faster, that's 81 into 8, or 64 plus basically 640 plus 8, or 648, right? Now adding these two, instead of adding them 3 times, what you do is this becomes 90. And then I'm adding that to 648, so that's 738, right? This is how you kind of simplify your calculations and do it a bit faster than it would need. That's 3 more marks in the bag. Again, not very easy. Sorry, not very difficult. CAT is something that people say is very difficult, but as you can tell, it is very easy if you are very methodical about it and you pick the right questions to solve. This CAT slot is supposed to be one of the tougher CAT slots, but clearly, if you just are methodical about it, it's very easy to do, right? Then you have this question, which again gets a little bit tougher. Obviously, we are taking progressively tougher questions as you go ahead. But again, if you are very methodical about this and you assume the right numbers, it's very easy, right? So all we have to do in this question, again, please read the question and try solving it when you can. I've read the question. I'm just going about it. So I make 3 columns for Sita, Geeta, and Meeta. They have the salaries in the ratio of 5, 6, and 7. So this is, let's say, initial salary. Then we have salary at year 1. So let's say that's year 1 salary. And then we have salary at year 2. So that's Y2 salary, right? Now 5, 6, and 7, let me write that 5 a little bit better because that looks like an S. Really sorry for my handwriting. I hope it's not being as much of a problem as it is as I think it is. But what I really want to inculcate in you here right now is that when you are doing quick math, I want you to be very quick with these numbers, right? You want to do multiplications of 20, 25, again 20 very quickly. So if I had to do, basically what I'm doing here is I'm increasing by 20%. So that's multiplying by 1.2 or multiplying by 120%. So 5 into 1.2 will be 6. 6 into 1.25 will be 7.5. And 7 into 1.2 will be 8.4, right? You have to be very quick with this. On the trot, you need to be able to solve this up to Anay Dave. These are not very difficult calculations to do. Now the question states that in the second year, Sita and Meeta get salary hikes of 40 and 25. So I'll do 6 into 1.4, which is 8.4. How did I do that? 6 into 1 is 6, and 6 into 4 is 24. So 10. So 60 plus 24 will be 84, which again, because the decimal comes 8.4. For Geeta, we don't know the answer, and for Meeta, it is 8.4 into 1 into 25. So 1.25 can be written as let's say 5 by 4. Again, that's something that you need to know on the spot because it's very easy to do this. If this gets cancelled by 2.1, and you get 10.5. So her salary at the end of year 2 is 10.5. Now the question states that the salary of Geeta becomes equal to the mean salary of the 3 friends. So what that can be written as is Sita plus Geeta plus Meeta upon 3 is equal to Geeta, right? So if I just rearrange this, I get basically 3 Geeta here, and I'll cancel this out. I move this onto this side, so that's 2G, right? So Sita plus Meeta is twice of Geeta's salary. If I know Sita's year 2 salary, I know Geeta's year 2 salary. So if I add the 2, I get 18.9. That's 18.9 is equal to Geeta. And Geeta is, so basically Geeta is equal to 9.45, right? Now the question asks us, what is the salary hike in the second year? So in year 1, her salary is 7.5, and in year 2, her salary becomes 9.45. So we are basically seeing the hike, which is around 2, let's say. So that's 2 upon 77.5, let's say, into 10, because it's 7.5. So I'm just making it easier, into 100. And we find out the value for this. So that's a 3, that's a 4. So we get basically 80 upon 3, which can be written as, if you do the math very quickly, let's just do it. So it'll be 20, 2, and we have 6, 26.66, which is closest to 6.66. We mark option A. That's plus 3 more marks in the bag. Again, a little bit more strenuous in terms of mathematics, but again, a very easy question overall. It did not require very difficult mathematics or very complicated formulas. It's just using the information they're given, solving as fast as we can, right? So far that's 6 questions now. So that's plus 18 in the bag, right? And we are still going very fast. We've probably taken, again, maybe 6 to 7 minutes to do it. It has not taken us that long to work this through, right? Now, just to get refreshed on where we are, 18 questions is already 18 marks in QA has already taken us to 95 percentile. And now we are strongly moving to the 99 percentile range, right? We just need 3 more questions, right? And we'll be at the 99 percentile group already. So let n be the least positive integer such that 168 is a factor of 1134. If m is the least raised to n, if m is the least positive integer such that 1134 raised to n is a factor of 168 raised to m, then what is n plus n equal to? Now this question is simply playing on how well we know our divisibility rules and how well we understand how it works out. The easiest way to again do this, and this is something that I keep following frequently, is splitting up factors as quickly as possible, right? So I split up 168 into 2 into 84, 84 as 2 into 42, 42 as 2 into 21, which will be written as 3 into 7, right? Similarly, 1134 can be written as, again, 2 into 5, 6, 7. 567 does not have a 2, so let's check 3. Yeah, it is divisible by 3 because 5 plus 6 is 11 plus 7, 18. 18 is divisible by 3, so you know that. If I divide it by 3, I get 1. I get 2, 8, so that's 9. 189, which again is divisible by 3, so that's 63, also divisible by 3, 6 and 21, and I go down, and that's again 3 into 7. So essentially, if I had to write 168, I could write it as 2 raised to 3 into 3 raised to 1 into 7 raised to 1, right? And 1134 could be written as 2 raised to 1 into 3 raised to 1, 2, 3, 4 into 7 raised to 1, correct? So that's how we go about this. Now the question asks us, let n be the least positive integer such that 168 is a factor of 1134 raised to n. So how much should I raise this to completely cancel out all of these? Now, if I divide these two, I can see that the 3 and 7 will easily get cancelled. But the problem is in the 2 raised to 3 that 168 has, that 1134 doesn't. But if I raise 1134 into 3 times, I will have 2 into 2 into 2, which will cancel out by this, right? So essentially, I just have to raise it by 3, n is equal to 3, and I will get 2 raised to 3 into 3 raised to 12 into 7 raised to 3, right? And that is 1134 raised to 3. And this number, if you check with 168, it should be completely divisible since it cancels out, right? So 2 raised to 3 cancels out, 3 raised to 1 cancels out, and 7 raised to 1 cancels out. Now the next part of the question is, if m is the least positive integer such that 1134 raised to n, which is the current number that we found, is a factor of 168 raised to m. So I need to raise m by something to divide this completely. Now, I know that 2 raised to 3 already gets cancelled out, so 2 is not my bother. 7 raised to 3 will get cancelled out if I raise m to 3. But if I raise 3 to 3, it does not completely cancel out, but I'll need to raise m. I'll need to raise 168 to at least 12 to actually cancel out the 3. So my value for m will be 12 in this case. Now the question asks us what is m plus n. I will mark option C, which is 3 plus 12, which is 3 plus 12, which is 15. That's plus 3 again. This one required a little bit more of understanding of numbers, but again, probably maybe 1.5 minutes, and you again have 3 more marks in the bag. That's 21 marks so far. Let's say it's taking you 10 minutes to do, right? You are still going strong in the 1 hour time limit that you have, and you're already at 21 marks, right? Now this question again is a little bit tougher, but it needs to, you need to assume values in a certain way to get to the answer. And I'll show you exactly why I think in a certain way and solve it in a certain way. So again, Geeta sells two objects A and B. So that's object A and B at a certain selling price, such that, sorry, I'm not going to make that line again, such that she makes a profit of 20% on object A and a loss of 10% on object B. If she increases the selling price such that object A and B are still sold at an equal price, and a profit of 10% is made on object B, then the profit made on object A will be nearest to what, right? So basically, we have all the estimates of object B, but we don't have any estimate. We don't have the right estimate of object. We have to find out the selling price for object A, right? So the best way to go about this is, since we know that it's loss of 10% and profit of 10%, we should assume the cost price of B to be 100 and then go about solving it the normal way, right? So if it is a loss of 10% on object B, essentially the selling price would be 90, which means the selling price of object A is also 90, and the cost price would be 90 upon 1.2, which is 75, right? How do you do that? 90 upon 12 into 10, you just cancel it. This goes 30 times. Let's say I should have done it by 6. This goes 2. This goes 15, which is again 5, so 75, right? Easy math, nothing much to do, but you can do it mentally after a point of time. That is just simple math. The simpler you do it, the better it is. And I just wanted to keep thinking about this every time you solve, right? If you take the next part, if she increases the selling price as our object B is now sold at a profit of 10%, which means the 100 cost price is now 110. That means this will also go to 110, right? Because object A and B are still sold at an equal price. So what is now the profit margin on object A, which will simply be 110 upon 75 into 100, right? Because cost price is 75, and this is the profit margin. I'll subtract that from 1, but just for easy math, I thought this is good. So I do 3 by 4, which is 44 by 3, 440 by 3, right? Now 440 by 3 can be written, if I have to just simplify this, you would get 1. That's carry over 1, so that's about 14, which will be 12, the closest by 3, and then there's 20, so that's 0.66666. Subtract from 100%, so you get 46.66 or 46.67. And the question in the options are nearest to, and we are at 46.67, so the nearest to will be 47%. You mark option B, that's 3 more marks in the bag. We are at plus 24. This maybe took us 2 minutes to solve, so let's say we are at 13 minutes right now. But in 13 minutes, we have scored 24. We've got a score of 24, and I think that's doing really well in the question so far, right? This is question number 9 that we should be solving. Again, this requires just a little bit of smartness. If you read the question, we are removing certain amount of coffee and adding cocoa powder into it. And we are doing it in such a way that when we do it twice, we get 16:9, right? Now we know 16:9 is obviously these are squares, but this is coffee to cocoa. I want to understand coffee to total. That would be 16 upon, sorry, let me write that again. I don't know why I've written I6, but essentially you get 16 upon 16 plus 9, which is 16 upon 25, right? Now we know that these are squares of 4 and 5, right? So essentially this means that we are doing 4 by 5 into 4 by 5 twice. That's the smartness that you need. You just look at the numbers, you need to have some understanding of what it could be and what the answer could be like. So that means that if there are 5 parts of the mixture, we are replacing 1 part of it by cocoa every time, and 4 parts are left for coffee. So we have done it twice. Now let's assume that we start off with a total of 25 units, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write coffee, I'm going to write cocoa, and I'm going to write a total column. Now in the start, initially we have, this is my initial, this is my first, and then there's a second addition, right? Now, obviously, because there's nothing adding and subtracting, it'll always be 25. And I assume to be 25 because I know the ratio in the final one is 16:9, so that just fits right in. And the initial ratio was 25:0, right? So the first time I do it, I'll be multiplying it by 4 by 5 once, so that becomes 25 into 4 upon 5, which is nothing but 20, which means that the total is 25, cocoa is 5. Now the question asks us the ratio of cocoa mixture P to mixture Q. Now what is P and Q? First time when I do it is mixture P, and the second time I remove it, it's big mixture Q. So technically this was mixture P and this was mixture Q. Now it's asking us for cocoa P to Q, which is cocoa P to Q, which is nothing but 5:9, right? So you mark option C, that's plus 3 again. We are at 27 marks. Now, just explaining this to you has taken around 20-25 minutes. I don't exactly know how much time it's taken, but just explaining it to you and writing down each steps in 20-25 minutes, I've scored 27 marks already. As I told you initially, 27 marks total up to the 99 percentile. So we've already reached the 99 percentile. And let's see if we can make one more question and reach the 99.5 percentile. And then see, again, if we can do more, it's completely up to your skill. These questions are progressively going to get tougher and tougher. So you need not solve them in the same amount of time, and there may not be as many shortcuts. But this is my way of showing you that you can really solve CAT questions in a fast way, and it's not limited to just CET where speed is required, right? Now this question says that Arvind travels from town A to town B, and Subi travels from town B to town A. Obviously, they start at the same time, along the same route, and they meet somewhere in the middle, right, after meeting each other. So let's just make that on a map. Let's say there's town A, town B, and let's say M is somewhere in the middle, right? M is a meeting point. Arvind takes 6 hours after meeting each other. Arvind takes 6 hours to reach town B. So Arvind, after this, took 6 hours here. I'm going to write A in the bracket so that we know it's Arvind. And Surbhi took 24 hours to travel after the meeting point till A, right? Now we know that Arvind's traveled at a speed of 54 kilometers per hour. So basically, Arvind's speed is 54 kilometers. So I can easily estimate the distance MB, which is distance is speed into time. So 6 into 54 is a distance, which you can write as 324. But again, I'm going to keep this as 6 into 54 because it's sometimes easier to cancel out. So I'm just going to keep it as 6 into 54 for now. They're asking us the distance between town A and town B. Now, what are the things that we know? We know that Surbhi's speed, right? So let's say it's SS, is AM, which is the distance she traveled, upon 24, right? Because the speed is equal to distance upon time. At the same time, we know that the time taken to reach meeting point M was the same, which means that I can equate the two times for the two people. So time is equal to distance upon speed. So for Arvind, AM upon 54 will be equal to MB. Now we know MB as 6 into 54 upon Surbhi's speed, right? So that's just SS, this equation. If that makes sense to you, if any doubts, please ask in the comments. I'll be happy to answer. I'll substitute SS here because I am interested in finding the distance, not the speed. The question is asking us the distance between A and B. So I'll write AM upon 54 is equal to 6 into 54 upon AM into 24. Now I take this on that side, so essentially get AM square is equal to 54 into 54 into 6 into, I can write this as 6 into 4, and 4 can be written as 2 into 2. The reason I'm doing this is because there's a square term here, so I'm just trying to simplify what I can do, and these will simply cancel out instead of finding a long number and finding the roots of it. I can simply do that, and then putting a root here, I would get 54 into 6 into 2. So AM would give us 54 into 6, which is 6 into 50 into 6 would be 300 plus 6 into 4, which is 24. So that's 324. 324 into 2 is 648. So that's 648. So we know that AM, this distance is 648, and 324 gets added for MB. So the total that we would now get is 648 plus 324, which you can write as 2. So just add it up. I am just doing this as soon as I can. So that's 972. Again, data question, so I can't really check, but that should be 3+ marks in the bag. Let me just check the answer in the sheet. It is 972. So that's 3 more marks in the bag. We have now scored 30 marks in CAT points. We have scored 30 marks in CAT points, probably in 30 to 35 minutes. And I need you to be this fast. Now you have the rest of the hour. So you have, let's say, 20 minutes to score as many marks as you can. Even if you get to a +5, +9, so you're getting to a 35 to a 39, let's just assume you get there and you are already touching a 99.9 percentile in CAT points. None of this required any difficult formulas. There was nothing much that was required. You just need to take your time to solve it. Be very quick with your numbers whenever you can. Keep solving as much as you can. The more you practice, the better it's going to be. If you have any questions, I'll be available in the comments below, so I'll be more than happy to answer these questions and get back to you on any doubts that you have. I'm sorry if my handwriting wasn't understandable, so please ask me questions. I'll be more than happy to answer it. But yeah, I know this wasn't as quick, but this is as easy as I can explain it. If you have questions, please ask. But I just want you to understand that a 99.9 percentile in CAT points is actually something you can crack. So stay tuned to our YouTube, Instagram. We'll be making more content on this. I'll be taking slot 2 as well and showing you how to get a 99.9 percentile there. So please stay tuned to our channel. For any other questions, my name's Anay Dave. I'll see you in the comments and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.